Let's talk about Korean cars. Once seen as budget alternatives to their Japanese equivalents, Hyundai and Kia are now titans of Australia's new car market through a course of continual improvement. Okay, but we know that story, so let's look at the latest chapter of the Korean Cars Down Under tale. It's an underdog story, one of a forgotten brand returned bigger and better than before. This is SsangYong's Korando, yet another entry into Australia's busy mid-size SUV market, and it hopes to replicate some of that industrious Korean magic that's made its rivals so successful.
You might remember SsangYong from decades past as a strange niche manufacturer who brought you such weird cult misses as the Musso SUV, Action Ute, and yes, the overtly ugly previous generation Korando. Forget those rough past offerings though, because fortunes changed for SsangYong when it was acquired by Mahindra and Mahindra in 2011. Off the back of some serious investment in an entire lineup of all new products, the brand was able to produce its first profit in a whopping 9 years. The Korando is just the latest in a series of reborn nameplates to hit Australia since its 2018 relaunch.
So now you're up to date with the story so far. You're probably wondering, is SsangYong really that much better than it was last time it was here? Let's find out.
First up, SsangYong's kinda look good now. At least, I think so. They've got a newfound consistency and a kind of masculinity about their exterior designs.
I like how it has this tough front end with all these strong contoured angles and a really tall ride height. And that runs really well into this nice high belt line, the power bump at the rear, the nice high ride height, and these sensibly sized alloy wheels that really accentuate this side profile. It's round the back here that SsangYong is really going to make or break that sale. It's controversial and overstyled and overpenned, like they just couldn't stop designing it. I still think it's one of the best looking cars in SsangYong's range though, so let's have a look inside. Inside things are different, but I really like it. While rivals hark on about European design and finesse, the SsangYong just goes, to hell with all that, Korean industrial design all the way. And as I said, I really like it. There are things here that are just genuinely weird and different, and it gives the whole car a different vibe to many of its rivals. There's things like these indicator stalks with these unique little turnstiles on them, and this wheel that's sort of chunky and well contoured. And then there's these turnstiles that have this unique little diamond pattern on them, and seats which have this strange swimsuit trim. It's actually really comfortable. It does genuinely have some strange quirks though. The indicator, for example, is weirdly loud, and so are all the other safety and alert klaxons, which also have some strange sort of chimes to them as well. The multimedia suite is really good. It's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto functionality, and while you do miss out on built-in nav, it's all pretty well put together. The only issue is the stock software is a tad laggy, and it looks a little bit like something you might manage your home finances on.
The media system also has a sky theme for daytime and a starry theme for nighttime. It's definitely not without its flaws. While the Korando is now just as well put together as its major Korean rivals, the abundance of plastic filler panels and gloss finishes really date the interior.
In the back here, there's genuinely incredible amounts of room. I've got so much airspace for my legs, and I'm 182 centimeters tall, and that's genuinely behind my own driving position. There's also heaps of headroom despite that kind of coupé roofline that the Korando's got, and the seat trim here is really comfy. I like that about it too, and the amount of window space makes it light and airy in the back seat as well. So in that sense, backseat passengers aren't forgotten. Where they are forgotten is the fact that there's no directional air vents at all, and there's only a single 12-volt power outlet, no USB ports or any of those kind of modern amenities.
Boot space comes in at an impressive 550 litres, sitting quite high up the ladder in the segment despite its cropped looking rear. Yes, by now you're probably wondering how much the Korando costs. Our car here is the mid-spec ELX, wearing an MSRP of $39.90. It's a front-wheel drive midsizer which pitches it against base versions of Korean rivals like the Kia Sportage and Hyundai Tucson, but its cropped dimensions make it a bit closer in size to something like Nissan's Qashqai or Mitsubishi's Eclipse Cross. Feature-wise, it's pretty great too, with all the expected inclusions on the inside, as well as an active safety suite comprised of auto emergency braking, lane keep assist, driver attention alert, blind spot monitoring, and rear cross traffic alert. It misses out on adaptive cruise control, a larger touchscreen with nav, and a digital dash cluster from the top spec Ultimate, but still represents outstanding value at this price. For a full rundown of the Korando's features, remember to check out our full written review over on carsguide.com.au.
Value is bolstered under the hood too. Unlike rivals at this price, which get thrashy old 2-litre engines, the Korando has a modern 1.5-litre turbo. There's no cheap CVTs or complicated dual clutches either, with the Korando having a sensible 6-speed torque converter auto.
The Korando's power plant does indeed look good on paper, but does it make for a compelling drive experience?
The short answer is yes. The Korando has a zesty and responsive 1.5-litre turbo engine with plenty of torque down low. It's much more responsive and fun to kick around than its naturally aspirated 2-litre rivals, and that'll be enough to win over some buyers. The body is firm but lightweight, giving it sort of the feel of driving a hatch instead of a big SUV. The steering is sort of oddly on the lighter side. It's really easy to pilot around cities and park. It's not the sportiest steering you'll ever have, but it's also the kind of steering that you're not going to get sick of on long journeys. The suspension is interesting too. At lower speeds it seems a bit firm and it does crash over sharper, more abrupt bumps. But then on the flip side, it deals with larger bumps really well. It just sort of seems to sail over them and doesn't transmit too much of the noise or abruptness into the cabin, and we found that really good. Overall, it's a really balanced suspension tune, and that's nice to see from a car that doesn't have an Australian specific tune. On my drive week, I did note two things about the Korando. One is the fuel usage is a bit higher than I had expected, especially against its claim number, which was a surprise, given that it's that turbo engine. And the other thing is the safety features. The lane keep assist seems to be a little bit more like lane swerve assist. Sometimes it gets a little bit liberal with the steering action when you even approach the edge of your lane, which can come as a surprise, especially with that light steering. It just seems to take over. All in all though, it's a really great drive experience, and it's really up there with its Korean rivals from Hyundai and Kia. And that's really heartening to see from a manufacturer that was previously not known for its drive experience at all.
That's not all there is to it though. SsangYong wants to make ground in Australia and so offers what it calls the 777 ownership promise. This means 7 years of warranty and roadside assist, as well as an incredibly cheap and transparent capped price servicing program. Read more about those in our written review, but suffice to say it puts many of its rivals to shame.
Now let's be honest, the SsangYong Korando won't be for everybody with its strong Korean personality and frankly zany styling. For those who are willing to try something a little different though, it's outstanding value, it's really well packaged, and it drives great too. Those people won't be disappointed.